All right, well, hopefully that bounce worked fine. JojoJet was just saying that he used mostly data objects, with game objects only used for the graphics. That really doesn't work very well for me. I think that Unity's strength is in its scene view, and I've actually made videos about this, so I don't really have any concern about using the game objects. But I do have a concern about why OBS is still flickering. Everyone can see that flicker, right? It's not just me. Why would it flicker? I cannot figure out why this flickers. And Evil Luigi didn't hear me say that I was bouncing the stream. JojoJet doesn't see any flicker. All right, well, JojoJet, if you don't see any flicker, that's good enough for me, because I see flicker all the time. Like, it's just sitting in my window flickering. If you don't see flicker, I'm happy. If anyone does see flicker, please let me know. And let's go ahead and get back to this. We were going to do this, just load it up, play it, and see what it has to say for itself. We have to load up a room. Yoop. And then we also have to go into that room and load up a room. Boom. So what did it have to say here? Crew real face has no eye target. I forgot to actually connect the eye targets, didn't I? Brilliant. Portrait texture is null. So we're passing null textures in. And we also have eye targets that are set to null. Let's go ahead and fix the eye targets before I forget. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a nested prefab, so we're going to have to do it for each of these guys. They should be smart enough to search themselves for an eye target, but it's placeholder stuff, so they're not. Oh, Erdroy also doesn't see any flicker. All right, well, maybe it's my display rather than my stream. That's good to know. I don't care if my display is screwed up, as long as everyone can see it okay. So we'll apply there. And now what in the world calls our portrait UI? That would be the portrait HUD, and its buddy, the portrait cam. Now the portrait cam is right here. And what happens is it should automatically create a render texture. So that's it managing itself. Here it says create UI. Portrait instance UI equals portrait UI instantiate. So what's happening is it's getting called to create a UI before it's getting the command to randomize. So right now, the problem is that it's not actually creating the render texture in time. That's not a big deal. What we'll do is we will just go ahead and set this render texture up in a special way. There we are. And obviously what we will do is get if render texture equals null, then paste. Oh, did I delete it from down here? No, I didn't. Good. And then we return it. And what we're going to want to do is, that should work. We shouldn't need anything else. JojoJet says he's heard the nested prefab asset is good, but I can't distribute it, so I can't give this project to you guys if I use it. Erdroy says, nah, problems everywhere. I'm designing async vertex index buffers for chunks in my Minecraft clone something. It's not super bipper easy. Well, if you're using a Minecraft or clones, if you're using like terrain stuff, you might be generating the terrain using an algorithm or a data system. But it's much easier if you let Unity do the heavy lifting as to things like occlusion and navigation and physics. Let's see whether this... What? I forgot to delete it, didn't I? This, apply, and delete. And the attribute tooltip attribute is not correct because I can't show it. That's fine. I've got some real problems with this popping up and staying up down here. This. Why is that happening? Annoying. All right, well, let's go ahead and load up our rooms and see whether or not I've fixed everything. Boom. Haha, it worked. Quote unquote, worked. So here you can see that the cameras aren't showing the right stuff. In fact, you can see some stuff that's just flat out not visible in the room, like the disc, the nav disc. If you look, there's a nav disc down here. It's temporary, but it's for the ship. Come on, go to it. Yeah, there. Where is it? It's not visible in the scene. There it is. I was just facing the back. This nav disc is not visible because it's strictly temporary, but we can see it in our crew cameras because our crew cameras aren't set up right. So we're going to go ahead and fix that right now. Erdroy says he's not using Unity. Okay, well, in that case, obviously Unity's strengths don't matter much. I'm not used to giving advice on other people's engines, so don't have any. So what we're going to do is we're going to find all of the portrait cams and tell them to only show the interiors. They're on the layer interior, but they also need to cull to just the interiors, like so. I believe that the interiors don't show the highlights or anything, so that should work. Yeah, that'll work. And then we'll go ahead and save that and delete it and try one more time. So those demonic blue babies were caused by the highlight material being applied on top of them, because physically speaking, they're in the room and the room is highlighted, but obviously that's not what we want to have happen. Boom. Look at that. All right, so this is more or less working. We got some small flaws. The lighting is really bad, and for some reason, I can't see this crew member's eyeballs. They all have eyes. That one crew member must have like a camera short. Let's go ahead and take a look at the portrait cams one more time. I can't see through this haze. So which portrait cam is the problem? I got 5 selected and I can only see 4. All of them show the eyes, right? Yeah. But when I look at the game, no eyes. See that? That was a weird bug. Look at that terrible shadow work in the background. See that? That's pretty hilariously bad. All right, so our next step is let's go ahead and light that room so that we can frigging see. Another option is to use ambient lights. Ambient lighting might be a better choice, but I don't know how to set up ambient lighting by layer. I only know how to set it globally, and I don't want to have the other layers be ambient lit. JojoJet says, wouldn't it be best to have crew as its own layer? The problem with that is that layers are actually very dangerous. if you need to exclude more than 5 layers from a camera, you have to use forward rendering. You can't use deferred rendering. It's really obnoxious, so I'm trying to keep the number of layers to something rational. In fact, that might be why this didn't work. If we take a look here, these cameras are all currently using just one of these layers, and that means they're excluding way more than 5, and it could very well be that that is the problem. As to why we can't see the eyeball, but that's okay. For now, I'm going to just leave it. It probably is. That might be why they're lit so badly, because the lighting is what errors out when you have a bad culling mask. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a couple more layers here. Yeah, that's less than 5. So hopefully that will work out, and maybe the lighting will be fixed. We'll find out nowish. I'm not sure, Jojo Jet. I know that Unity doesn't use them per se if you don't use them manually, but Unity may still consider them layers, even if you've removed them. But since there's nothing on those layers, rendering them should be free. Hopefully. Alright, the lighting is still pretty crap. Okay, I put on normal, and normal was a mistake. You can see that. So I don't think the lighting was what was causing us the errors. Have I been working on the... hold on. No, that's fine. That's all fine. Good. We don't want the default layer. That should work. So what we need to do now is light the interior so that we can actually do something with it. But as you can see, this whole place is this huge smoky mess. That's because of the search. Searching really screws up the display in a way that I really hate, but I can't do much about it. For now, we're going to just go ahead and move the room into a position where we can do a little bit of lighting work on it. Alright, so right now the lights in this room, there are only 2. And one of them is over here, and the other one is there at the desk. We're going to need at least one more light. Let's go ahead and duplicate this guy. Move him up above these beds. And we'll put this light just up on the ceiling arbitrarily. Yeah, like this. And all of these lights are going to probably need to have their intensity raised. And that range of 10 is probably fine. Alright, that should work. Go ahead and save that after moving it back to 0, 0, 0. There we go. Alright, so that lighting is not excellent, but it is substantially better than it was before. And you can see the basic idea is working fine. And if you don't like the crew members, you can re-roll them all you'd like. Some of these camera positions are going to be problematic because I'm not taking walls into account. But that's okay. We'll worry about that some other day. Now, in terms of being able to see them in your ship, you can see that it's pretty small at the moment. You can't really get very close to them very easily, and that's okay because right now they're not really very good. So I don't have any big urge to let you see them. I'm kind of happy with it like this. Now, if you are on a lower setting, quality setting, these lights will be turned off and you'll have a high ambient light instead, and that should be even better in terms of being able to see their face. They're not currently properly integrated, so clicking on them also clicks through them. But you can see how this is working. We're putting together some crews. And if we add another set, we add another set. It's that easy. Now I think this is slowdown. I think I'm getting slowdown here. It might be the number of lights or something. But one thing's for sure is it's fallen off the right side. You can see how I can scroll it. I'm definitely seeing some slowdown though. I'm not 100% sure what's causing it. If I were to switch back over to exterior view, right now there's no optimization for... Oh, I accidentally added another 10 crew members when I duplicated that. So there's definitely some bugs I need to work with. There's no optimization for freezing crew members. These cameras can be turned off, and they will be turned off. Once they've taken a snapshot of a character, there's not really a whole lot of reason to leave them running all the time, unless there's some reason that you want to see that character constantly in live action. So in the end, when you're not viewing internal or something similar, they'll probably freeze and stop rendering. That should save us quite a bit of rendering time. To simulate that, let's go ahead and start over. And we'll go ahead and spawn in a ship of our choice. Oh, that was awkward. How about the Slugger? Now, the Slugger has some rooms, but I don't think that they're currently configured to have people in them. Trying to get used to doing this again here. Yeah, it looks like they're using the stashed rooms, the canned rooms. So we'll go ahead and put people in them like this. Boom, we got people. Let's go ahead and fill up the other bunk as well. Let's just leave it at 1 for now. That's fine. Since I can't see your eyes, let's re-roll you. I'll have to figure out what that eye bug is. Also got some bad lighting errors here and there. That's fine. Whatever. So let's go back to the exterior view. And now to simulate that, I accidentally clicked through. I have to fix that click-through problem, because that's going to cause me a lot of problems, a lot of issues. There we are. Yeah, so hold on. We got a lot of people talking here. They look pretty unsettling close up, but they're kind of cute when viewed from afar. They're going to be replaced in the long run, so it's fine. Evil Luigi says, so did my video stop, or are you actually doing nothing besides talking? It sounds like your video stopped. Jojo Jet says, maybe have freezing the camera be a setting. Yeah, that's the actual idea here. Your quality level is something you're going to be able to control. And this sort of thing is going to be easy to fix up. Evil Luigi has a hilarious amount of trouble with his Firefox. If you're on Firefox, you can set it to not load tabs. You can have it just load them as links, and then when you click on the tab, it'll load them up, and that saves a tremendous amount of time. Not that he'll ever hear that, because he's already gone. Jojo just says it'll be helpful to know what they're thinking. Beneath this reroll button is their mental state. I'm going to have different crew visuals depending on your needs. So all of these things should work. But what I want to do right now is take those portrait cams and turn them off. There we are. Just turn the whole thing off. Everything gone. So now they're frozen, and I think that really does clean up my rendering. Now, one of the issues I've got is that the character models are still in the game and still being fully animated. So one of the optimizations we'll need to do is remove care models or disable them. When not in interior view. Now the thing is that even if they're disabled or removed, you'll still have these snapshots. The problem is that if you decide that you don't want just snapshots, those are going to have to stay in-game all the time, and that might get really expensive. So we'll have to fight over it. Anyway, let's go ahead and just get a little bit of a view of these characters. Can I get a better angle? Ah! The camera is not built for looking inside of the ship yet. I'm going to have to fix this. That's okay. For now, it'll just... This angle's fine. Yeah, Evil Luigi, I was saying Firefox has a setting. You can make it so your tabs don't load on boot. So they'll load up as tabs, but they won't like go over the internet and try and pull data until you click on them. And that's what I use. Well, now that I have... Oh, Holly's ear is making fun of me for a typo in my stream description. Yes, I am peopling people. I put some people on my spaceships. Exclamation point, indie dev paste. And let's go ahead and paste some more close-ups here. Woo! Wow, that's a bug. Got lots of bugs here I have to fix. Well, it looks like that is a terminal bug. I can't get rid of that one. I'm gonna have to be a lot more aware here. Clicks are falling through everywhere. Exclamation point. Fix that up at some point in the near future here. Load ship. Slugger. Yeah, that's fine. Interior view. Clickety, clackety. And then exterior view. Yeah, that looks fine. Let's re-roll this girl. She's a little bit... I told you, Craig. Clicks fall through. What are you, an idiot? Okay, how do I move up again? Control and W and S. Okay. Oh, well, I got rid of it. That's fine. Come back. There we are. Perfect. All right. JoJoJet says that Holly Ears is him. Holly's ear is him. Alright, so we've got a lot of issues to solve, but as you can see, integration went swimmingly. I built the whole avatar system to be plug and play, and it is pretty damn plug and play. That said, there are a lot of situations that need to be fixed. I need to have a pop-up for our tab. I need to have tab cancel out of a lot more things. For some reason, tab doesn't work at the moment. When you're in interior view, it doesn't work. Okay. There's a lot of optimization, a lot of UI crap I have to fix. But the people optimization is one of those things. I have to be able to optimize the crew. And the easiest way to do that is to simply turn them off as people when you aren't viewing the internals. At the moment, there is no easy way to simply turn all of the crew off. But if we open up our avatar scripts, if we open this guy up, you can see that we do not have any static objects or any static stuff. We're going to put in some static stuff. Public static list custom avatar live or active live avatars. We're going to want public static. We need to add in game object. No, Unity event on avatars. What is it called for portrait cam? Changed on avatars. Changed. It's new. And we're also going to need some public events. Chippy Buddy popped in to say yo. We're going to need some events to allow us to turn them on and off. Public static void set visible bool visible. And then we'll go ahead and put in some tooltips for this. If false, turn off rendering and animations. If true, turn them on. So with this, we're going to say for each custom avatar in live avatars avatar.gameObject.setActive visible. Super easy, right? All of the avatars actual statistical management is going to happen somewhere else, so we don't have to worry about that. All we have to worry about is this. But we are going to want to be careful to set these avatars up as actually existing in that space. So void awake. Chippy Buddy wants to learn game dev. It's not an easy process. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, but I don't know if they'll help you if you're just getting started. I'm not an intro to Unity kind of guy. There are a lot of videos out there that can teach you how to use Unity, though. A lot of intro to Unity videos everywhere, and you can certainly watch any number of them. Live avatars.add this. And now when we destroy, on destroy, we just want to remove it. Live avatars.remove this, right? So here we'll just go ahead and count. So debug.log live avatars.count plus avatars awake. Chippy Buddy says, let's see what you're making. Well, it's a good time to be here because that's what I'm testing at the moment. No errors, no breaks. Let's go ahead and load up our ship and turn on interior view and get ourselves set up with a crew. There we are. So nothing's broken. Now the real test is when I switch out to exterior view, I want all of those to go away. The problem is that I don't have that rigged up at the moment, so that's what I've got to do. I've got to make it so that when you switch views, it actually tells that static function to work. So this is getting into stuff I haven't touched in quite a while, and I'm not 100% sure I remember how to do it. So we're going to go into our UI overlay here and see what these do. So what these do is they call the mode master and they tell the mode master to set the mode. The mode master then sets the mode to exterior or interior. Exterior and interior controls. That's the construction controller. Where's the... No, that's not it, is it? Where's the interior view? Is this it? Well, we can find out more here. Mode master. Modes. Exterior controller. There it is. Okay. So this is the exterior controller, and what I need to do is add in some eventing so that I can set this up properly, or I can program it to just work out of the gate. So that's probably what we'll do. We'll just make it work right out of the gate. So here's our ship construction control, and when we awake, we're going to try and turn off the ship avatars. So mode switch response. Oh, you know what? I really should make it an event, shouldn't I? Yeah, I guess it's more important to make it an event. Using Unity engine.events. So now that it's an event, I need to make an event. Public Unity event. Oh, the wrong spot. It goes down here. Public Unity event on activated or on enable, but that's the problem. On enable is a on control, on take control, and public Unity event on lose control. To be honest, this is the wrong place. We really want them to be here in this base class, so that's what we're going to do. So what'll happen is whenever we take or lose control, we will call that event, and that will allow us to set these up however we want. So here's on remove stack, so we're just going to go ahead and say on lose control.invoke, and then here we're going to say on gain control.invoke. On take control.invoke. There is an on gain control. On gain. Okay, so that's a personal event. I see. That's for internal use. So these should be. I don't like having the only difference between the functions being a capital or lowercase o. That's basically what I'm struggling with right now. Okay, so now that should be all we really needed to do. And if we go over here, we should now have some events pop up right there. And these will allow us to turn off the things we want to turn off. So if I were to say on gain control, I can drop here's the problem. I don't think I can actually do it like this. If I look in avatar and I get that custom avatar, I can drop it in here, but it doesn't give me the ability to call the static functions. So in order for this to work, I have to have some other way to call the static function, just due to an inherent limitation in Unity that doesn't really make any sense. It should have static functions here. So instead, what I'm going to do is I am going to add in a way for these controls to do that. So region helper functions end region. Public void set avatar visibility, bool visibility, and all that does is do the custom avatar. It's not called custom avatar, it's called custom avatar. Oh, it's avatar.customavatar.setVisibleVisibility. And that exists solely to allow me to do this. It shouldn't be necessary, but unfortunately it is. So now, if I go over to our ship construction control, I have the set avatar visibility, and I can turn it off. See? So over here in interior construction controller, we're going to do the opposite. Set avatar visibility to on. See? Easy as pie. So we'll save that, we'll hit play, and we will go ahead and load up one of our ships. Unfortunately, I screwed up the visual here. You see how that's offset? I'm going to have to fix that. But of course, the whole thing is temporary at the moment. The whole thing is going to have to be fixed. Here's the red planet. Kaboom. It's quite a big ship I've got here. Let's look at the interior. No errors popping up. That's good. But of course, we don't have a crew yet. Let's go ahead and set ourselves up with a live bunk. And there we go. And now if we were to go back out into exterior view, like this, I think that might have worked. Let's find out. Did we have... yeah, it looks like our frame rate is good. If I pause this, I can physically zoom in and see. We're way, way far out from the ship, unfortunately. This is the ship. And if we were to just look inside of our object here, you can see they're gone. Oh my gosh, they're gone! And that's good. That means that they are currently turned off. If we actually click on this room here and we open it up, you're going to see that there are a number of turned off crews inside. See? Look at all these turned off crews. That's exactly what we want. The other test is if we go back into interior view, you can see their cameras wake up and they're back to being in the room. But we're getting some very, very serious slowdown already. And that is a problem because I didn't expect only 5 crew members to actually cause slowdown, because if it's causing slowdown for me, it's going to cause slowdown for everybody. I am recording, but that's not going to have this much of an effect. So if I were to load our profiler, it looks like it's running at about, what is that, 20 frames per second. And almost all of that is rendering. And if we look here in the rendering, it's drawing is the predominant. Yeah, I thought so. Unfortunately, drawing all of those cameras is just as expensive as drawing the primary camera, or more. If we look down here, the actual primary camera is only taking up 0.1%. The ship cam is the other expensive one. That's the one that actually does the bulk of the ship rendering. Let's go ahead and pause. I can't really... the ship cam here is at 8.9%, but each of these portraits is more expensive than the ship. So rendering the whole ship is cheaper than rendering any one person. Which is a shame. I'm going to need to figure out how to optimize that. Why are those cameras so expensive? Is it because they're rendering to a render texture? But the render texture is tiny. It's like 128 by 128. Does the camera not understand that it's only rendering to a 128 by 128 system? Well, the mesh skinning is actually a noticeable component here, but it's nowhere near as noticeable as the others. The drawing is 75% or 70%, and that means that each of these 10% is actually 7% of the overall time it takes to do the whole thing. So any one of these portrait cameras is as expensive as updating all of the skinned mesh renderers, and that includes some of the ship components as well. So I need to figure out a way to make these cameras a whole lot cheaper in a hurry. I don't know anything about optimizing cameras. If we take a look at our cameras, here's one of them. We have this clipping plane near and far, but those, it's not very far. I mean, that's only a couple of meters. So why is it so aggressive? Is it because there's HDR involved? Should I turn off the HDR? I wonder if that'll help. And we'll go ahead and lower down the far clipping plane, because that was for back when they were the size of a giant. And we don't need them anywhere near that large anymore. That should do. Right, that's more in line with how it used to be. Let's see whether or not that fixes it. If we now take a look at our profiler, we are back to rendering here, and we're seeing that our frame rate improved some. We're more like 28 rather than 20. And what is the issue? What is causing us to freeze? Pause, please. So if we look here in our camera render is now taking up 49%, which is way lower than it used to be. The drawing is now a much cheaper. Here it is. So this is down from 70%. It's down to 40% of 40%, so 20%. However, each of these cameras is still super pricey. Even though I turned off HDR and lowered their maximum depth, they are still super pricey, and I don't know why. I want them to be cheaper than the ship camera, and I don't know why they're so expensive. They should be rendering to a really tiny target texture. Why are they if I change the rendering path, will that help? Yeah, if I change the rendering path to forward instead of deferred, I get radically better performance. It's down considerably. I'm running at more like 60 frames a second, although it's not a steady 60. All right, looks like I have to set them to forward rendering. I'm not sure I like that, because that's going to become very expensive later. So I'm going to have to keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what's going on Evil Luigi, but it's certainly not doing what I want it to do. And that is the biggest problem. I don't know how to tell it to do what I want it to do, because it is not something that I understand very well. This is not my specialty. But I can always fix it later. So for now, I will just live with the fact that we are going to use forward rendering, and we're going to have a very small 0.5 far clip plane. That should work. That said, that's not going to update our room, because at the moment our room doesn't have references. It's just flat out set up to be like it is. So we'll drop this in, and we'll just manually update each of these characters. And what we'll do, 0.5, All right, that's fine. And we're going to want to turn it to forward rendering. Fine. It's good. It's good. Apply. And delete. See you, Jojo Jet. I got lots of work to do, but chances are I'm only going to do maybe 15 more minutes of it today. I'll be back on this Saturday. This time I'm not going to go off and do something else. Wow, that pop-up gets more and more damaged every single time I move anything. That's pretty impressive that I screwed it up that bad. Here we are. Let's go into our interior view and pop up a proper room. There's our bunk. Go away. And that's much better. No frame rate loss. I don't know if you can tell, but there's no frame rate loss. And then what we'll do is we'll go back into exterior view and I'll pause. Yeah, nice, nice. Of course, the reroll buttons don't make any sense out here because they're paused. The question is, yeah, so if I do reroll while I'm outside, it takes. It just doesn't, it doesn't update until I go back in. Jojo says, if you're doing forward rendering anyway, why don't you give the crew their own layer and have the camera only render that layer? I don't know if that would be cheaper. I want the interiors to also be... that's probably a good idea. Yeah, I'll do it. There we are. User layer 12, personnel. I'm going to have the crew on that layer, and I'm going to have the cameras render that layer. Just have this whole thing be on the personnel layer, like so. And we'll get the portrait cameras. And we will tell them to only render the personnel layer. That'll do. And then we will go ahead and save the room and delete it. But what we're going to have to do is over here on our cam on a stick, we're going to need to take a look at this interior cam we've got, and we're going to have to change it so that it also draws personnel. All right, let's take a look. Let's pull ourselves up a bunk room. Boom. Well, it's certainly cheaper. I think that I might have lowered the camera range a little too much. It's not necessary to have a low range anymore. So let's go ahead and raise that range up a little bit higher. So that we don't have any stupid problems. Now what we're going to do is we're going to want to modify that same thing in the avatar default that I've got set up. There you are. Our portrait cam for us here. It's not HDR anymore. We're going to just go ahead and cull just the personnel here. And we will go ahead and change it to being on the interior personnel layer. There we are. Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and load it up one more time. You know what? I'm going to fix that loading button, and it's not important, but it's bothering me. So if we take a look at our interior here, boom, and we've got a ship info, which is here, boom, there it is. And you can see that it's really broken, so we're going to go ahead and fix it. The ship info box is the size of the whole screen, and that might be the issue. So the border here is substantially smaller, and load and save are not within it, and that's the problem. Let's go ahead and drop them inside. There we are. And then we'll just move them to the right some. Now they're locked to the upper left element. That should work. Yeah, because the border has a specific size. Good. Let's disable the ship info and disable the components view. And we are back. So let's go ahead and load up our Hansi here. Shh, good. Interior view, bunk. Let's make the other room a bunk as well. Why not? There we are. We are getting a little bit of slowdown now. It's not bad, but it's definitely noticeable. And now it's gone. So I'm definitely going to have to do a lot of optimization in the long run. I've built the whole system to be optimized quite easily. Everything that I've built has low-hanging optimization fruit that I can hit whenever I need. So I'm not too worried about it, but it is something I'm going to have to keep my eye on. Anyway, this is my progress for today. Don't you think it's pretty good? I have now given you crew. However, at the moment, you can't save the crew. That is to say, it won't survive when you load the ship again. You can't change the crew in any way other than arbitrarily re-rolling. And yeah, it's just kind of a visual at the moment. They don't actually do anything yet. So there's still a long way to go. But the visuals have now gotten into the game world. They're not great, but they are as good as the ship visuals, which are also not great. I'm winding down here. Thanks for your help, everybody, and thanks for your suggestions. What is slowing us down in this? It might be the fact that there are 15 cameras and they're all rendering. Actually, the camera render is only, if we take a look here, camera render is only 40% here, or 35%, and it's almost entirely the ship camera and the interior camera. Most of the portraits are pretty threadbare. Is it when I move that it has a problem? No. Not really any difference. Well, the camera is not responsible for these giant spikes. What is? GFX wait for present. Okay, so there's something called GFX wait for present, graphics wait for present, that is causing the vast majority of my delays. I don't actually know what it is. Let's go ahead and just quickly look it up here. GFX.wait for present Unity. Shockingly, everyone has the exact same question as me. It has to do with swapping around the active render texture. Oh. And for some reason, instead of saying that it's render texture.setActive, they display it as GFX wait for present. according to them, it's supposed to be keeping my system running at the proper speed, but in fact what it's doing is slowing it way the hell down. It's more than half of my weight. And it's definitely render texture based. Well, I do have a lot of optimizations I can make. I can, like, render only once every few frames or something similar. But it is seriously cramping my style. According to everyone here, it's just a it's an incredibly old bug that they haven't bothered to fix. Now he says that it's a shadow issue. Let's go to the end of this and see what they have to say more recently. Great, so as of 2 days ago, the official response is, it does look like it's actually a true case where something legitimately weird is happening. This is fascinating. It's probably something I shouldn't be doing live on camera, though, since all I'm doing is reading through forum posts. Alright, so here it says... Oh man, this is all like GPU based crap. Now it might be just that it's all NVIDIA based. Apparently there is a deep profile option that will give us better information. But this is an ongoing issue that everyone has, and Unity has never bothered to fix it or give anybody advice. Great. Well, I know that everybody found that interesting, hearing me read something, but it looks like I need to turn on deep profiling. There you are. Reload them then. That broke it. Boom. Ship info, load ship, the Agrippa. Interior view, room, and room. Right. So we're definitely getting some failure here. Let's go ahead and turn on our departing. So now that deep profile, I actually can't tell if that's on or off. That must be off. I must have just had it on and now I've turned it off. Either way, it is definitely most of my slowdown. Fascinating. And I think it's entirely based on just the render texture switching. For some reason, it's super slow, which means that I may have to do some optimization in terms of how the render texture is working, and only do one render texture per frame or something similar. If I were to go in here and turn off the portrait cams, like this, and just go kabam. Yep, it goes straight up to 60 FPS. So it's definitely those cameras, and I think it's to do with the render texture switching. So if I only turn one of these cameras on, bam. It's a very, very, very small load, so that should be fine. I can cycle through and switch on one camera per frame. Sounds like a terrible hack, but I'll remember it and think about it. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'm sorry that at the end I took a diversion into annoying debugger lane. It looks like render textures are extremely expensive if you have more than one, and that is going to be a problem for me. I might be able to do something more advanced, like only having one render texture and having each camera render to a small portion of it. That sounds expensive too. Might be a lot cheaper though. I'll have to think about it. And I will see you on Saturday if you feel so inclined. Until then, or whenever I see you next, have a good day.